Hi guys, welcome to today's Excel coffee break session that's hosted by Waveolution. So today's session is all about smart data labels in charts in Excel. These Excel coffee breaks are just sort of a quick 5-minute run through. Just feel as if I'm just sort of having a coffee with you, trying to explain to you how it works. There's no great production values going on here, no snazzy graphics. It's literally me sitting down for 5 minutes, talking you through, including the ums and the ahs, and including the spots on top of the head. So let's get cracking. What do I want to show you about these chart labels that are a little bit smarter than normal? Well, let's have a look at a chart. So we've got a chart here that's looking at profit and turnover. So we can sort of see that the profit is showing up in here. So we've got a nice little chart already. And normally if you want to put a data label on these, we want to see what the profit is for each. You can do a right click on these, do add data labels, and you can see sort of the profits showing up nicely. But as is often the case, things get a little bit murky and it's a little bit hard to see where these are, and you're losing some of the impact of the chart because you're trying to work it out. So what can we do? Well, I'm going to show you one trick that's using secondary axes to add some snazzy options to your data labels. I mean, normally if you do your data labels, you can you've got very few options you've got in here. If I do format data labels, then I can, so for instance, I can say, well, let's do it inside end, and that goes down a bit, inside base goes up a bit, center, it's sort of in the center. It doesn't really give us a lot of options. So let's get rid of, keep those there actually for the time being. So what I'm going to do is add a new data series to this chart, and I'm going to call it data label. I'm going to call this, I'm going to give this just a 1. There's lots of ways you can do this. I'm just going to focus on this option at the moment. I'm going to call them all, give them all a value of 1. They don't have to be currency. Let's just make them, that doesn't make any difference. And I'm going to add it to the chart. So I'm going to select the whole thing, copy and paste into the chart so it'll come in as a new data series. You can see that data label as a chart series has popped up over there. Well, we don't want it to show in the chart, so let's get rid of it. Oops, always away. Let's get rid of the label first of all. So you can go into the formatting thing and you can get rid of that label by pressing delete. Don't delete the chart like I just did. But we still got that data series in there. Let me just prove that to you. A good way of selecting elements on a chart is to go to the chart tools format, and then you can select it from here. So I'm going to go to data label, so you can still see it exists there, and it's sitting on top. Now what we want to do is we want to move that into the secondary axis, and then we can use these custom labels for them. So how do we do that? So still got data series selected, and we're going to go to format selection. And now we're going to choose secondary axis. Don't worry about that. Things get broken before they get better sometimes. So what we're going to do is change this, this chart type into a line. So let's just change that into a line. So you can see that we've got a line just hovering up here. Now what we want to do is we want to add labels to that. So you can easily do that by adding, going to series data label that we've got, and then we can add a data label in the center. So let's just come off of there. So you can see 1, so that's our value showing up in there. There's 1 there. Well, that's not really there where we want to yet. What we're going to do is we're going to actually change, this. Instead of showing what the value is, we want it to show what the category is. So go back to label, more data label options, and this time we're going to use category name instead of value. Ooh, so we can see front derailleur here, different things. That's getting better, but we don't want it to show that. We want it to show what the profit is. Now I'm going to create a data label over here, and I'm just going to point it to this. So we've got, in effect, our labels. So come back to the reason why we've done it in a separate column in a second. So we've got, in effect, what we want to have as the text in there, but we need to change it so it's not looking at front derailleurs, it's looking at this text. So what we're going to do is go to the series, so again format, and let's choose the same thing, series data label, format, and then you can see here the formula comes up. Now you can always Google exactly what the series function is, but to save time I'm actually going to say the second element is, you can see it's going from A2 to A16, it's this section, it's the category label. So we want to change this one. You can do it on a secondary axis. We want to change this, and which is one of the reasons why I put it on secondary axis. We want to change it to this element. So hit enter. So what's happened now, if I click on any of the other series, You can see that they're still pointing to A2 to A16, but if I go to our data label, you can see it's pointing to E2, E16, which means it's pointing to these as text items. So you can see it's now showing as 3,000, 6,000, etc. But we want to get rid of that line. So let's go back, and we're now going to select the data label again, format it, and we want to make sure that the line is actually hidden. So let's go to line color as no line, line star, line marker line color is no line, marker style none. So now we've made it disappear, and there we've got those labels showing up there. Let's get rid of those so that it doesn't cloud the judgment a little bit. So you can see we've got the items up here, but what we want to do is have it above. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that secondary axis. So this is a line plotting on the secondary axis. We're going to change that, so format axis, so it's fixed going from 0 to 1. Now they've popped up to the top. We also want to hide this secondary axis. We don't really care about it, so format, and we want to say none for mark types and none for axis labels. So now we've got it all showing up at the top there, which is looking really good. Let's make it a little bit lower. We can easily make it lower by maybe taking it down to 0.5 and see it's dropping down. It doesn't have to be all the same line, so you could easily add a full function that would do it just above these are elements. So for instance, this one could be 0.65. So you can see it's dropping down. And of course, if you put in the sum of these two, the other thing that you can do is, this is going up to 7,000, 70,000, so you can also, I did it as a 0 to 1, which is a percentage. Let's also change this now. So we're going to format this axis to make sure it's fixed on 70,000. The reason why we're going to do that is because we're going to change the secondary axis again and make these, let's say, 65,000. 650,000 rather, I should say. So let's just do that all the way down. Now they've all disappeared up to the top because remember that's going from 0 to 1. So don't worry, let's go to format, and we want to change our secondary vertical axis, which is that secondary one, and we want to change this going from 0 to 70,000. So you can see that they're showing up there. So that means that what we could do is we could put in something really snazzy. We could say it's always, let's say, 10,000 above. So it's this equals the sum of these two plus, let's say, 10,000. Let's see if 10,000 is going to be all right. So you see it's hovering above there. Let's make that 20,000 just so. And if you look at this little element down here, when we go to 20,000, it hovers above it. So let's just drag that down. So we've got a nice bit of control going on over there. So we have it at the top, and now we've got it showing down the bottom. Let's go even further. As my last point I want to show you, what we want to do is we want to add a bit of text. Let's say this one's got a category label, and this one is red. It doesn't matter what they are. This one is yellow. Let's put some more yellows in. Put some more yellows in there. Let's put in a red going down, and then we've got these ones in it. Now what we want to do is we want to make this to be the same sort of with the red and then this. So let's go and do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say it equals this, and we want it equal this. We're going to need to change it a little bit more before we go and do this. So let's break it a little bit before we fix it. First of all, we can see that the number's a bit dodgy. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn and use a function called text, which is going to make that number a little bit more recognizable for us. And we're just going to use this with a 0 and then do OK. So you can see that's showing up better now. It's not quite there yet. So what we want to do is we want to add in a space between it. So if we just do that now, you can see there's a space between it. So it's looking better. Let's go one further. Instead of a space, let's go to here and then do Alt-Enter. And Alt-Enter will take it down onto the next line. Now what's that going to do? That's going to make them sit up on top of each other. So what we've got is two lines of information as a data label sitting on top of each other. Now obviously we need to increase that a little bit, so so our data label, let's make it 30,000, so it goes a little bit above. And there you can see a nice easy way that we've got a lot of clever, smart data labels that are working. We had them at the top, we've now sort of moved them down to below at the same level. You need to make sure the secondary axis is aligned. And we've also added extra bits and pieces. And of course you don't have to stop there. It can also be, you can make it so it's a lot more clever. So there's no real limits on that if you consider it as a data label on a different line, and it's working alongside those. So that's a nice cheaty, snazzy, not cheaty way, smart way of doing data labels. So that ends this session. So all I've got to say left is thanks for watching. Why not like, subscribe, or share? So like it, subscribe it, or share it, or actually share it that way. Yeah, that way. So look out for the next session. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching. Cheers, guys.